Welcome. I am your Polkadot Specialist, Var. Today, we're going to do part 2 of GPU.net, and we're going to cover the tokenomics. Is the coin any good? So if you like this particular episode, please like and subscribe. It'd be highly, highly appreciated. So I wanted to get in this particular episode because GPU.net and the team have put out some more documentation on the project. So the white paper or the projections of where the particular project is going to go and the overall idea and the things that they're going to be rolling out, which is called their roadmap. So today they put out more information on their tokenomics, pretty much the ecosystem of GPU.net and its technology. So I wanted to cover, is the coin any good? So reason why this question is important, one of the individuals that I look at as somebody that's very well known when it comes to finances and money and investments is Warren Buffett. And I pay attention to a lot of his different principles. And one of the principles that he always talks about is knowing what you have. You shouldn't invest in anything that you don't understand. So I'm constantly doing research and I'm constantly looking at the projects in which I'm invested in. And again, this is not financial advice. You have to do your own research. But this is a particular project that I'm personally in. So just keep that in mind. But Warren Buffett, he talks about knowing what you're investing in. We recently came out of a bear market. There were people that sold. Now, the reason why sometimes people will sell something is because they have a fear that they're going to lose their money. All right? Or they don't have enough confidence or in their particular asset or their particular thing that they invested in. Now, one thing that always gives me comfort is knowing what I have. So, for instance, I always like to use this analogy of oil. So, if you bought a home and you saw this mud on the ground, you'd be like, man, this bunch of mud. You got to clean it up. Somebody got to get rid of it. I can't believe I bought a house that has all this mud. Versus if you knew it was oil, you would actually value it. If you knew what oil was going to be in the future, you would value it. And because you value it so much, you wouldn't want to sell it so quickly because you know what you have. So when it comes to GPU.net and getting a node, getting pretty much a device that will help GPU.net function by verifying transactions and helping the network, you're going to be compensated in their particular coin. So this particular coin is going to be GPU coin, the GPU coin. And this, the coin's name, the token's name is GPU.network, but the ticker is GPU coin. This particular coin, there's going to be 200 million, and it's going to be used to have different functions and utility in the network. So those are some different things when it comes to this particular coin. But when you're getting paid in an asset, if the asset's not worth anything, it's mud, then if you have a trillion of something, a trillion of an asset that's worth zero times anything is zero. So you want to make sure that the asset that you're being compensated in has value. So that's why the tokenomics and understanding what the coin does is important. So that's part of the strategy, is understanding what you have. So you know the value of what you have to look forward to. That will allow you to want to hold it. That will allow you to look at it in a certain fashion when there's fluctuation in the market, especially in crypto. Lord knows These coins be going up, down, 30% loss here, 60% gain there, and it's a roller coaster. So by having an understanding of what you have can go a long way. So let's go further into the coin. So this is the tokenomics. All right, so for the tokenomics, one thing I always like to look at first is the distribution. Okay, who and where are all these coins going to go? So out of 200 million, what's the allocation like? Okay, so the great thing is 60% is going to go to the miners and to the people helping the network. So that's a big percentage. That's pretty much the community. 60%. Okay, so that's a very, very good. Another thing that I like when looking at this particular coin is you want to look at investors and you want to look at team allocation. Now, why is that important? The reason why that's important because these particular individuals that got in very early can really put a lot of coins out there that can impact the price. They call it dumping. So you want to see what's the potential of when the coin first launches, what's the likelihood at the beginning that there's going to be price suppression because people are just putting a bunch of supply on the market, And when that happens, that's what causes the price volatility because there's a lot of supply. And if there's not enough demand, it makes the price of your asset lower. So pretty much to make it easy to understand, if you put a whole bunch of something out there and there's not enough demand, it's going to make your asset less valuable. All right, so right now the team allocation is only 10%, which is very good. That's a good number to see. All right, and then over here, you also can see that there is, so you have, this was the 6% to the miners, then you have 10% here to the team, and then you have another 10% to funding. So funding a lot of times would be your investors. Now, the one thing I would have loved to see, and I did try to ask individuals that are close to the project on what the vesting schedule is. So normally when you have seed rounds or you have investors that get into an asset or a product or a project early and they're kind of venture capitalists, what happens is they are normally given the coins at a very low amount. And that's the reason why when the project launches, you might see some selling because they're trying to recoup their money back. But the vesting schedule is when are these coins given to them? And normally over time, normally you want to see a vesting schedule of over 6 months. 6 months to a year. Very good ones sometimes would be like 2 years because then that gives the time for the project to mature and it's less sales pressure. So, but I was not able to find out what the vesting schedule is. I was not able to find out what the cliff is, which is like when are the coins starting the allocation, you know, like how long do I wait before you start getting your first initial set of coins from your investment. So I wasn't able to find these two things. So that's one thing I would need to look into further to see if I can get more information. But the fact that there is 10% for investors and 10% for the team is good. So that means that there's 20% in that area, and that means there's 80% towards the project, which is great. So the other things they have is found the foundation. I guess this is like for different initiatives that they might have. It would have been nice to see a breakdown of each category, especially for the foundation. Funding, you know, what the vesting schedule would be. That would have been nice. Now, liquidity is normally for exchanges, so that they can put coins out on the market, so there'd be some supply of coins called liquidity on the market, so that you could do trades. So that's good to see as well, that there's an allocation to that particular category. Overall, I like the distribution of the coin. All right, so let's go a little further into the project. So another thing I like to see is how is the coin overall, like the total supply. So the total supply is, we said earlier, it was 200 million. Now, the great thing is this particular project is set up as deflationary. Okay, so that means instead of there being new coins printed that can, again, supply and demand, the more supply you put out there of something, the chance that the price of your particular asset can be hurt. So the fact that this is a maximum supply of 200 million is great. That means there's not going to be any more printing of coins or minting of coins, is what I should say, put out on the market. That what you have is what you have. Now, the reason why it's deflationary is because of this. It says all revenue from consumers will be received in the GPU token and burned. So that means when there's sales of different things on this particular network, it is taken out of circulation forever. So that means that 200 million, depending on how busy the network is actually going to be deflationary. Okay, so that means it's going to be less supply over time. So that's great depending on how busy the network gets. Another thing as well that I really, really like that makes it similar to like a Bitcoin model because it has a maximum supply was the first thing. The second thing is it says all provider emissions to be fixed and follow a halving rate. So it's great that we're talking about halving rates because recently Bitcoin had a halving rate. So that just means that the amount of supply that is brought into the market by mining or computers verifying transactions and being compensated is cut in half. And that's one of the reasons why Bitcoin is is considered digital gold because of that max supply and the fact that it gets more and more scarce. Okay. Now, the difference with this particular project is this. So let's go even deeper. We're doing that deep dive. So we have our nodes and let's go into the emissions first. Okay. So since we're talking about the Bitcoin halving, the difference is with the Bitcoin halving, it's every 4 years. Okay, so that means the miners that are receiving that coin in Bitcoin, the amount that they're compensated, that they can sell and put back on the market to recoup some of their money, because they're running it like a business, is done every 4 years, where the amount that they're compensated is cut in half. So the supply is cut in half that is brought to the market. The difference with GPU.net is the supply is cut in half every 2 years, which is great. So if you're in early, this here is the schedule for emissions. So this is the yearly amount here. So this is the yearly amount here, and this is the daily amount. Okay, so every day, all the miners out there will get 41,096. Now, right now, there's about 6,000 nodes, 6,000 miners that are going to be out there at the moment. They're projecting about 1,500. All right, so right now, depending on how many miners are out there, this daily amount of 41,000 per day will be divided amongst all the people helping the network. Now, every 2 years, as you can see, every 2 years, this amount will be cut in half. So instead of 41,000, it goes down to 20,000, and then 10,000 in year 5 and 6, and then in year 7 and 8, you're at 5,100 per day, and then 9 and 10, you're at 2,500 per day. Now, what that does is over time, as the network gets busier and busier and busier, the value of the coin should go up because there's less supply coming out there. It's kind of like that Bitcoin effect. So I think that is phenomenal tokenomics, phenomenal use of the coin. So what else can this coin impact its value? Is its use case. What is it being used for? So let's go into that. So utility of this coin that's going to be burned, for what it's being used for and all those different things, is it's going to be used for gas. So that means that you're going to be able to use it for transactions. You're going to be able to use it when you want to rent the GPUs. Now remember, GPU.net is helping people right now, helping people get GPU power, because right now there's almost a monopoly. 80% of the supply is controlled by like Facebook and Google and Oracle and Microsoft, and all these big companies are hogging up all the GPUs. And again, if you haven't seen my first episode, I will go ahead and link it as well, part 1. And I kind of go into the reason for the importance of GPU.net. So you renting out these systems, providing them power for AI and providing them power for all these different things that need computation, it's going to be paid in the GPU coin. Okay. Also, network rewards. So we just went into that. So that's for people helping. They're going to be compensated in this particular asset. And then also the voting and the direction of the whole network is going to be based on the people that hold the coin, the miners, and the people that buy the particular coin as an asset to maybe hold for themselves. So those are some different things as well. Remember, this particular blockchain, this particular GPU.net also is very interoperable. So also look for in the future them particularly going to some ecosystem for lending and borrowing and different things like that in the future. Okay, so those are some different things to consider when looking at this particular asset. The things I love about it is its maximum supply of 200 million coins. I like the fact that there won't be any more ever made. Okay, so it's a max supply, just like with Bitcoin. All right, in addition to that, the supply, instead of every 4 years, it's going to be every 2 years. It's going to be reduced. That comes to the market, as compensation to the miners. So that's going to help with the supply and demand, and actually help with the coin's value over time. Okay, I like the fact that it has built-in utility from governance to rewards to paying for the different services. Those are all great things when it comes to considering an asset that you are investing for the long term. But again, this is just my perspective, just how I look at it from my own 2 eyes, from my Oculus. But you have to do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor. I am your Polkadot Specialist, Var, and I appreciate you spending time with me. Please like and subscribe. God bless. Thanks for your time.